So Lisa is planning this big hike for Saturday. Fine, I just thought it would be nice to relax.
I like it when you tell me what to do.
Utterly embarrassed by my existence. How is it?
That's good.
Horse. I'm certain you will get the part.
Thank you.
Closet where we keep the clothes? Yes, I checked the closet.
Yes, chef!
Okay, you know what? I'm trying to make it nice for you.
Well, then be nice.
Okay.
Just shut it down. Get back to what were you doing? Something.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank
Sorry.
you. Yeah, you're good. How is it?
Oh, yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Great.
You ordered rare peppercorns from Ohio?
I just wanted to cook you your favorite food, give you a really nice experience.
Steak's not my favorite food.
Shut your mouth. You shut up. You shut your mouth. Okay, I did it, and yep, it's happening now. That was the best acting I've ever seen.
The film opens on a commercial shoot. A man and a woman stand in a forest clearing declaring their love for each other, the light golden and romantic, before the director calls cut and reveals they are advertising a wireless phone plan. That director is Dan. He made one real film 8 years ago, and it was good, and then nothing happened, and now he makes advertisements for a living. During a break on set, Dan moves around the crew mentioning, with careful casualness, that he and his wife Lisa are heading to the family cabin this weekend. He mentions her solo mountain hike. He mentions more than once how dangerous it sounds. He repeats this performance at his father Michael's nursing home before going home. A news bulletin behind Michael reports that 2 convicted killers have escaped from a nearby prison. Dan does not register this. He should. In the car trunk, under a blanket, a hacksaw, duct tape, and a coil of rope. His neighbor Rachel spots him closing the boot and wishes him happy hunting. He finds this unsettling. Lisa gets in and the drive begins. They fight about the music. She pulls out a script she is working on and calls the director a pretentious asshole. Dan assumes she means him. She clarifies she means the theater director. She is now also insulting Dan. He suggests they both pretend to be happy for the weekend. She agrees with no enthusiasm whatsoever. At the cabin, Lisa opens wine and Dan checks the locked hunting cabinet in the basement. He spends the afternoon cleaning while Lisa rests on the porch. He notices the pantry has been disturbed and blames mice. His blue snowflake sweater is missing from the closet. That evening they argue about garlic during dinner, then eat by the lake where Dan reveals he ordered special peppercorns from Ohio to cook her favorite meal. Lisa tells him steak is not her favorite food. They play Scrabble. He plays obscure 2-letter words for maximum points. She goes to bed. He drinks by the water. The next morning, Dan loads a canvas bag of rocks into the bottom of the boat. He retrieves the tools from the trunk, sets them up in the basement, and has a drink for courage. He soaks a cloth with chloroform and begins a slow, careful approach toward Lisa from behind. She turns around and tasers him in the chest. Dan wakes up tied to a chair with wet trousers. Lisa is sitting across the table, holding the chloroform cloth between 2 fingers. His explanations deteriorate steadily, cleaning fluid, cabin supplies, the rocks were for ballast, until she produces the hunting rifle, loads it, and sits back down. She has worked it out. Sedate her, tie her to the rocks, drop her in the lake. She asks about the saw. He explains that bodies can float if left intact. He was going to tell people. She wandered off into the forest. Lisa calls it the dumbest plan she has ever heard. She wants to know why. He tells her he knows about the affair. This opens everything. She points out they have not been intimate in 2 years. He says he stopped because she criticizes everything and makes him feel small. She says she wanted a partner with his life together, not someone who lost the house, the car, and all their savings. She also came to this cabin with a plan. She told their neighbor Rachel that Dan will be hunting this weekend, how dangerous it was, and arranged for Henry, a former prison acquaintance who did odd jobs for them, to be nearby. Her plan was to take Dan hunting, trip, and shoot him by accident. He says it never would have worked because she is a terrible actress. They decide to demonstrate who can grieve more convincingly. Dan cries first. Lisa hits him in the face with a rifle. Then Henry walks in through the kitchen door. Dan has been repeating the phrase, "It's hammer time," for several minutes at increasing volume. Henry eventually interprets it as a signal and knocks Lisa out with a hammer. 5 days earlier, Dan met Henry at an amusement park and offered him $50,000 to help dispose of Lisa's body after the fact. The life insurance policy was $100,000 and Henry would get half. Henry asked for the arrangement in writing. Dan declined. Lisa wakes up in the basement taped to a chair, gets one arm nearly free immediately, and Henry adds more tape. Dan wants to know why she wanted to kill him. She tells him he is controlling and insecure. He pushed her to quit her real job to focus on acting and gave her nothing. He lost everything they owned, and divorce would not free her from the debt. Dan hears one thing: insurance money. Lisa then tells Henry that the policy is actually $1 million. Dan covers her head with a bag. Henry points a gun at Dan and makes him remove it. The bidding starts. $500,000 to shoot Dan. Dan counters. Lisa offers everything. The two of them are simultaneously auctioning a life insurance policy to the same man in the same basement. Dan lunges for Henry. A jukebox takes a bullet and starts playing music. All three of them grapple for the gun. Henry tries to calm everyone down and the gun goes off. Henry falls. Dan ends up with a gun and hits Lisa. She runs. The chase through the cabin involves a thrown kitchen knife, the empty gun used as a club, a knife through Dan's foot, and a crash through a bedroom window before they wrestle over the gun and accidentally fire it into the ceiling. A scream comes from above. The ceiling breaks. 3 people fall through it. 3 days earlier, Allegra, Pete, and Todd had escaped from the correctional facility where Allegra worked as an officer, and Pete and Todd had served 7 years each. They found the cabin, used the key on the doorframe, ate the food, took the clothes, including Dan's sweater, which fitted Todd, and hid in the attic when the couple arrived. The ceiling shot hit Todd in the backside and brought the whole structure down. Pete ties the couple to chairs, names them Ron and Hermione, and explains that he wants money. They have $53 between them. Allegra announces they will play a prison game. 2 people wrestle in a circle to see who overpowers whom first. Dan and Todd wrestle. Dan drives his fingers into Todd's gunshot wound and escapes. The criminals haul him onto the pool table. Pete notices the film poster on the wall. He discovers Dan directed it. He becomes, in an instant, a genuine fan. He watched it multiple times in prison. He has strong opinions about the ending. He cannot believe his luck. Todd cannot proceed regardless due to the wound. Allegra raises her gun. Lisa announces she has $50,000 in a private account, available in the morning when the bank opens. Deal. Overnight, Dan kicks a pool ball into reach. He yells for a bathroom break. Todd escorts him, and while Dan is in the bathroom, he entertains himself by hovering a finger near Lisa's face, repeating the phrase, "I'm not touching you." Dan comes out. Todd notices one bare foot, and Dan swings the ball in his sock into Todd's skull. He passes Lisa the knife from Todd's belt and slips upstairs. Lisa frees herself and follows. Pete and Allegra go down to check and find Todd unconscious. Lisa is already outside looking for car keys. She does not find them. She goes back in and Todd catches her, takes the knife and the boat keys, and announces the deal is over. Dan is approaching from behind. Lisa tells Todd she is pregnant and the baby is not Dan's. Dan drives a ceramic figurine into Todd's shoulder. What follows is the longest fight in the film. Bleach in the eyes. A jar broken over the skull. Multiple kitchen knives in Todd's back with no apparent effect. The figurine driven into his head by Dan. Todd taking one more step before going down. Dan picks up the gun. The gun is empty. He says something about Dumbledore. He sits down on the floor. In the closet upstairs, Dan tells Lisa to take the boat and go. He heard the pregnancy announcement, and his first reaction was not anger. It was excitement. Lisa tells him she made it up to distract Todd. He tells her it was the best acting he has ever seen. Pete comes around the corner, Dan tackles him, and they both run. Outside, Allegra grabs Lisa from behind. Dan knocks her down. Pete goes through a window onto Dan and beats him methodically. Lisa stabs Pete with a garden rake. He snaps the handle and uses it to drag Dan toward a running lawnmower. Dan loses fingers blocking the blades. Then a car crests the hill and hits Pete. The driver is Michael. A neighbor spotted trouble and called the nursing home. Michael beat a staff member with his walking cane, stole the man's car, filled the tank at a petrol station without paying, and arrived playing music he did not select and cannot turn off. He picks up a gun from the ground and shoots Todd in the head. Allegra stabs him from behind. Pete chokes Michael while mocking him. Michael bites the tip of his nose off. He tells Dan to run. Dan and Lisa get in the car, drive 2 minutes, and stall. The car restarts. Pete shoots out the rear window. The car hits a tree. Dan tells Lisa to get to the boat and goes back for Allegra, who is cleaning her wound on the kitchen floor. He kicks her broken leg. He asks for his sweater. She begs and then insults him. He shoots her. At the pier, the engine catches just as Pete climbs aboard and takes the wheel. Dan grabs the rope from the dock and is dragged through the water, hauls himself over the stern, and fights Pete across the boat. Pete gets a rope around Dan's neck. Lisa gets a bag strap around Pete's neck from behind. Pete throws her off. Dan takes the bag. Together, they throw him over the rail. The rocks still in the bag pull him under. The rope catches Dan's ankle and pulls him in two. Lisa catches his arm, refuses to let go, pulls him back, and removes his shoe to free him. Dan calls the police. Lisa hands him a bag containing his severed fingers and his wedding ring. They apologize to each other directly for the murder attempts. Dan asks what they do now. Lisa says they deal with their problems. He says yes. They hold hands on the water. When the press arrives, Dan and Lisa perform grief and heroism for the cameras with surprising fluency. The loving couple whose peaceful weekend was destroyed by escaped convicts. Michael, the veteran father who gave his life for his son, becomes the centerpiece of every broadcast. Their story is optioned. Dan directs. Lisa stars. It goes direct to streaming, but it is his, and no one changes the ending. In the film within the film, two radiant and implausibly competent versions of themselves defeat three criminals without effort. The rail Dan and Lisa watch it together. He has a bandaged hand. She takes it.